Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Anna Letitia Cook of Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women and the Girls on the Road in their quest to support women entrepreneurs around the world. Fernanda and Taciana are visiting 22 countries, interviewing women and researching the conditions, business ecosystems, challenges, and advantages that exist in each country. Today, we're visiting Jordan. So, hi, Fernanda and Tassi. How are you two today?
Hi, Anna. We're great. What about you? Hello.
Fine, thanks. So, today you're in Jordan. Tell me, what's the general vision of business, women in business, and women entrepreneurs in Jordan?
Well, Anna, I think it's fair to begin to say that, before that we were in Lebanon.
Yeah.
It was the first Muslim, majority Muslim country that we visited. And the first thing that, really caught our attention is that Jordan is much more conservative and traditional country than Lebanon. So women, they fight different fights there. Yeah. It's not only to become an entrepreneur, which they are doing it. And we had, great interviews, but also they have to fight day in and day out this conservative side of the country. And I would say that at least with the ones that we spoke with, they seem to be going in a good pace. They know they have a lot to cover still, but they feel confident, which I would say it's a major asset when you're trying to change the status quo. So, and that's one part. And the other part is that the country itself is trying to change as well. For example, we learned that Jordan is not necessarily historically a very entrepreneurial country, the people. Yeah. So they look much more, for example, a corporate job or a government job because they crave for that security at the end of the month. And, not necessarily entrepreneurship mix and match with this view, what you want to do with your career, with your life. So there's interesting things happening in Jordan right now.
Okay. And so for women, what does it mean to be a woman entrepreneur in this country?
Well, it means you have to, be very, very prepared. A huge social pressure, because even with the ones that we talked to, that they were very successful and running a larger business, they say that still they have to wake up early, make sure they have the kids ready, everything about the house to make sure their husbands will not complain. So it's not like they have to worry about the business, but as long as they are doing good at home as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one interesting thing about, women in Jordan, and of course, we are talking about a large chunk of the female population. They are very, very well prepared. And they say that, 80% of the female population have, a very high level of education. However, only 20% of them are in the economy, which is a major loss. And that's one of the reasons they say is, as Fernanda mentions, because the social pressures. Mm-hmm. They usually marry late 20s. And once they get married, it seems that everything changes. And of course, we've seen that in other parts of the world. But there, it plays differently. It seems even harder on them. As in Japan, for example, I think to that extent was a similar culture.
Yeah, and they say that usually when women reach the age of 27, they just quit their jobs and they dedicate it to their families. And of course, we are talking about the very well prepared, and then they did, many of them we talked to, they did master's, PhD, they go to England to study in the US. But also they have the people, the women in the small towns, the villages, that they say that they have to face another issue. They have while we were talking about glass ceiling, yeah. They have something that they say about glass door. Because their families, many times, they just want them to stay at home, inside their homes, not doing anything outside. So we talk to entrepreneurs who are trying to make these women incorporate into the workforce, but it's a very hard battle with their families to allow them to do that.
Oh, really? I say it's really very different.
Yes.
Yeah,
it is. But on the other hand, as I mentioned, they're trying to change that, and I think it's a very powerful force, because they themselves, they are trying to push for these changes.
Yeah.
And they're convinced that they have to change. They know everything. It has to be done, at least conceptually, to women, have a different position in the society, in the economy. So they are pushing it.
Yeah.
So it's a very vibrant community and playing field right now.
Yeah. And so what are the main factors in the business ecosystem in Jordan?
Well, when you talk about business and women in Jordan, I don't think we can let the cultural and social and religious aspects aside.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about business, we have, of course, to tell about the initiatives that the government, they are really pushing for entrepreneurship. We had the chance to visit the King Hussein Business Park, which is a huge complex. Yeah, very entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now
very modern.
Very, very modern. Now there you have mentors, you have accelerators, you have programs focused on women entrepreneurs, you have investors. So they are really trying, and they build this complex. They're really, trying to push forward the whole concept of entrepreneurship. But still, there are the social aspects.
And in this complex, you have like the big companies, like the multinationals, national companies, like billion-dollar companies in one area, and the other area is more a startup scene. And there are areas there, like a co-working space that is free. It's 24/7 every day. So people like who want to have a place to work, to chat, to exchange ideas, can just go and take advantage of all this infrastructure.
Oh, that sounds good. I mean, from that point of view, it sounds really supportive of people that actually want to try and set something up. So in that case, my next question, which is about the particular challenges and or advantages for women here, I presume that the main challenge is actually women being able to work in whatever context. Is that right? Or are there other challenges? And also, do you see any advantages?
Yes, let's see what you said about the social context. Most of the companies in Jordan, of course, are small and medium enterprises. And when we were talking to one of the organizations who deal with entrepreneurship there, the manager told us, because many of these small and medium enterprise has few employees, many times women have a different perspective. Like their families don't want them to work in this small medium enterprise because they want them not to be with many men, strange men, right? Men. So they rather have them to work for big corporations where the environment will be more diverse and larger. So you're not like confined in a small company with only other guys that not belong to your family. So that's one thing that many women face challenges to work in this small and medium enterprise.
Yeah.
They prefer them to work for governmental positions, for example. Mm-hmm. Or, of course, the case that they're qualified and they have the willing to do it, like to build their own companies.
Yes.
Yeah. What they are finding, like what we found also in Lebanon, they are having this idea of providing services and products to the Arabic world. So they're finding gaps, like unmet needs in many of these countries that they can do something about it and provide not only to Jordan, but the other, Middle Eastern countries.
Okay, that sounds good. So what are the soft and hard skills that these entrepreneurs have in common or have developed?
Well, I think what they have in common in terms of, they have, as we mentioned, they have a very high level of education. Mm-hmm. We spoke with, women who did master and they are PhDs. And of course, we are talking about Amman, the capital. We know that in the countryside, in other smaller cities, the situation is different, of course. But also, these women in Amman, they are trying to somehow, to become role models to these women in other parts of the country. So they're very well educated. They have the chance, of course, the opportunity to do exchange information with other women entrepreneurs in other countries. That has a huge value, of course. They are building the network. Yeah. So I think this is very, very powerful. I think on the soft skills side, what I mentioned earlier about the mindset, they know they have to change, at least, their environment. They are doing themselves, but they have to impact others, of course. So I think that's the mindset that they have right now. It's really powerful. And they are trying to impact that, not only other women around them, but also, of course, family and friends, and to have other perspective, and how important it is to attract more women to the economy. So I think Jordan is I would say that Jordan right now is a very fertile, ground for entrepreneurship and also for women entrepreneurs.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And can you tell us one key motivational difference in Jordan that could be helpful to other women entrepreneurs around the world?
I think motivation is like to break the stereotype and go against the culture. It's a time that they say that they are well prepared. They don't want to have, they say that religion has nothing to do with that. It's like a cultural thing that they use religion as an excuse to prevent women to advance. So they say that it's time for them to work hard and to push the boundaries and to start making more space for them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I think we had a very interesting experience in Jordan, and I'll tell you why. And that was something that we weren't prepared to face it.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that the Middle East is unfortunately a very unstable region in the world.
Yeah.
From time to time, we have conflicts. The history is full of wars and confrontations, especially between the Arabic countries and Israel. Mm-hmm. So when we arrived in Jordan, and even before that, starting contacting women entrepreneurs, mostly from, of course, the Arab community and mostly from Palestine heritage. The first reaction was not to participate in the project because they knew, and we made sure we would share that in advance with them to be very clear, very transparent, that we would also interview Israeli entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And many of them refused to participate because of that. So I think, it shows a lot, unfortunately, still the level of tension and anger and bitterness that, permeates that region, unfortunately, because, from both sides, we met amazing, incredible women.
Yeah.
But the good thing is the majority, after they talked among themselves, they decided to participate and share the amazing things that they've been doing. But I think that was a lesson for us.
Yes.
Because, I think we think we know a lot about the region and how it affects the people who live there, just because we supposedly we are well informed, we read the news, we see the the TV news, but we are not, because we have no idea what really means to live in that area. Only when you were there and interacted with people that you can start grasping everything that's happening there.
Yeah, yeah. I know I did an interview with a lady called Zebanu Gifford, and she set up a centre in the UK. She's from India originally, but she set up a centre in the UK to help intercultural, interfaith, into everything agreement, really, and collaboration. And one of the first programs they did was bringing teenagers and young adults from Israel and from, I think it was Palestine, together to work together. And they said the distrust that was there automatically was really quite shocking, but they were delighted that after they'd been working together for a few days, they managed to overcome the previous prejudices and to see that actually we're all just people and we're all just humans, and that a lot of what they had believed wasn't the reality. It was just almost like inherited bias.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is so true.
And we heard from women entrepreneurs there as well that they're saying that, it's a time that we have to build more bridges instead of, going further apart. Because we asked them about, how do they feel about government and how the government of Jordan and also, of course, Israel are getting, things sorted out.
Yes.
And unfortunately, nowadays, they say that instead of they're trying to come together, they're going more radical, like in opposite ways.
Yeah.
But many of them were very glad that to take part, and they wish they would be able to just go to each other countries and be able to exchange, what they're doing, things that they can learn from each other.
Yeah.
I think there's a big curiosity to to go and to see and exchange.